Atari was founded in 1972 by video game pioneer Nolan Bushnell, the man who had created the first coin-operated video game, Computer Space, and had brought Pong to the masses. Although the early games were impressive simply because they existed, Atari's coin-op division truly entered a golden age in the late 70s and early 80s, when titles like Asteroids, Battlezone, and Tempest ruled the arcades. In this package are arcade-perfect conversions of 6 of those great games: Super Breakout, Battlezone, Tempest, Missile Command, Asteroids, and Centipede. Together, these games have grossed hundreds of millions of dollars in arcades across the world, and thanks to special emulation technology from Digital Eclipse, you can now play the games on your console system exactly as they were in the arcade. Even the bugs are still there. But just playing the games doesn't do them historical justice, which is why we've provided background information and exclusive insight into the games from the creative geniuses behind them. Ed Logg, who created Asteroids, Super Breakout, and was co-creator of Centipede with Donna Bailey, Dave Toyer, who created Tempest and Missile Command, and Ed Rotberg, designer and programmer of Battlezone. What was it like at Atari during this golden age? How could so many great games come from one company? As Ed Rotberg explains, the people had a lot to do with it.
I think one of the really wonderful things about having been at Atari during that period of time of the late 70s, early 80s was the people that worked there, the entire group of people, and not just as individuals, but we not only worked together, but we socialized together, we played together. It was a real camaraderie that I've never seen quite duplicated to that extent anywhere else.
With such creative people around, Atari took an interesting tack towards game development. Once assigned, a project was under the direction of a single programmer, but game concepts were developed communally at off-site brainstorming sessions. Here's Ed Rotberg discussing the sessions.
The brainstorming sessions really reflected a lot of the culture that went on at Atari at that time, and it was really nice. People were, encouraged to submit ideas and not be critical of other people's ideas, but to take them and run with them. Eventually, they became people became more and more prepared. They were less extemporaneous than they were in the early days, but it was really a hotbed of creativity. We had a number of extremely creative, as well as technically proficient people at Atari, and it was just a wonderful time to be around all that good energy and all of that creativity.
Of course, not all the creativity went towards finished products. Quite a bit was devoted to just having fun. Atari was an entertainment company, after all. Most of the jokes grew out of strange products, and often they came at the expense of an engineer's favorite target, the marketing department. Ed Logg explains how one aborted game concept, turtle races, that popped up at every session turned into a long-running prank.
At one point, year after year, we've done the same thing at brainstorming sessions. Our VP of marketing got up and said, "Okay, guys, absolutely no more turtles. No more turtles. Absolutely no more turtles." And so later in the brainstorm, we had one of the waiters bring up a drink for him because he was thirsty, and we got one of these little wind-up turtles. We stuck it in the drink, and so it goes plop, 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 plop. We handed it up to him, and he just takes the glass, and there's splash, splash, splash. Everybody's breaking out and laughing.
It didn't end there. In addition to sending the marketing director turtle cards and turtle dolls, Ed Logg made a little change to the golden edition of Asteroids that sat in Atari's lobby.
Turtleroids, that was another joke. So what I did was I took Asteroids and I replaced the small and large saucers with turtles. And so, we had the golden edition out in the lobby of Atari. And so I went in and swapped the game proms, and they had these turtles floating around. And so one day he walked in, looked, and sure enough, they're turtles.
Still, once a game was decided on, the creators got to work hard. Because it's impossible to tell if concepts on paper will really work as games. The products often change dramatically between assignment and finished product, as Ed, Dave, and Ed discuss here.
You start out with one idea in mind, and as you're playing it, you may find that people are creating their own game in the way that they play it, or there's one particular part of the game that's more fun than the rest of it. So the game kind of dictates where it should go, by people's response to it. And they change as they go. It's not like well, we had this idea and we made it happen just like that. It doesn't happen that way very often.
For example, Tempest started out as first-person Space Invaders, and I brought it up. We played it. We had a marketing review, and they said, "This is sure it's first-person Space Invaders, but it's not much fun. Do you have any ideas, Dave?" And I says, "Well, I got this idea where there's this hole in the ground, and there's monsters coming out, and I can make this thing into that hole in the ground nightmare." And so they came back like 2 weeks later, and they said, "This is fun. Let's do this," and that was Tempest.
I had another case too. Centipede was originally, all mushrooms were fixed position. You couldn't shoot them, and there weren't anything to create them. And it was Dan Vanner, a VP, during one of the